if I succeed with Marie, Homelander's gonna have feelings about how powerful she really is.
Do not worry about him. We are gonna get everything we want. Everything.
Annabeth's resurrection is the moment that breaks the show's rules, because up until now, powers in this universe have had limits. Supes can heal fast, they can fight through impossible injuries, and they can level cities, but the one thing they couldn't do was reverse death. So when Annabeth opens her eyes, that boundary collapses, and it's Marie who tears it down. Cipher calls it a miracle, and that shift in language matters, because in a world of experiments and propaganda, a miracle stands apart. It isn't supposed to come from a lab or a training exercise. It's supposed to be something beyond human reach. But instead of treating it with awe, Cipher treats it like confirmation. This is the proof he's been pushing for, that Marie can be driven into places no one else can go. Her desperation, grief, and rage, all twisted into fuel for a display that changes what being a supe even means. And if resurrection is now on the table, then death itself stops being the final consequence, because that shakes everything, and it means the cost of battle is different. It also means punishment loses its bite, and also that someone like Marie isn't just powerful, but she's disruptive to the very order the world is built on. This is why Cipher won't necessarily be shocked, scared, or sympathetic. He'll be very satisfied, because for him, this isn't really about saving Annabeth. It's about unlocking a new kind of power, and this is the kind of power that bends life and death itself to his agenda. Which is why when he calls Marie salvation, it's not particularly hope he's describing. And it's not even healing. It's the discovery of something godlike. Something that rewrites the rules everyone else thought were fixed. And once those rules are broken, nothing in this world looks the same again. And someone like Homelander is definitely going to notice. So I guess the only question is, does he see it as an advantage or does he see her as a threat? Well, that's something we're about to find out. The miracle didn't come clean. The second Annabeth is pulled back, the rest of the group pays for it. They're left in pain and gasping like the life is being pulled out of them while life is being pushed back into Annabeth. And that detail really matters, because it tells us resurrection isn't a private act. It's more on the collective side, which is why it doesn't just drain Marie, but spreads out into everyone around her, and that's what makes this moment so hard to pin down. Is it salvation, like how Cipher describes it, or is it devastation disguised as one? But I guess for Cipher, the suffering isn't a problem. It's part of the proof. He's been engineering situations where Marie's power can't help but spill over the edges, and of course the pressure gets so high that she does the unthinkable. So to him, the pain on the others is just evidence that her gift is bigger than her body, and that it has the potential to reshape anyone it touches. In his mind, the cost validates the miracle, but for Marie and her friends, it's a pure and total nightmare. The thing she's wanted most, which was to save her sister, comes hand in hand with nearly destroying the people she cares about. It's the sharpest contradiction possible, because this is resurrection that feels like death, or I guess hope that tastes like punishment. And that contradiction is what makes her start to look dangerous. Because if every miracle comes at this price, Marie's power isn't just a gift to be celebrated. It's a weapon waiting to turn inward by cutting down the people closest to her. So Cipher calls it salvation, but looking at the pain in her friends' faces, it's hard not to ask. Salvation for who? Cipher's miracle, not hers. It's easy to look at Annabeth's resurrection and see it as Marie's breakthrough, and I think that's what a lot of the viewers will feel. And it kind of makes sense because this feels like her moment of ultimate strength. But the more you look at how it unfolded, the clearer it becomes. That this was never just her moment. If anything, it was Cipher's design. Don't get me wrong, this is a huge deal for Marie and her journey in fully realizing her powers. But then right from the beginning, Cipher's been pushing Marie like a lab subject and stacking the pressure higher each time. From the bloodbending fight to the threats of Elmira, and of course the reminder of Andre's death, every step has been about tightening the screws. And then, Annabeth's reappearance is the cruelest screw of all. He doesn't simply reunite them. He sets the stage by showing Marie her sister, then taking her away in the most brutal way possible. So when Annabeth comes back, it isn't just because Marie reached deep down and found something new. It's because Cipher engineered the one situation guaranteed to tear her open, which is the grief of losing her sister twice in the same moment. So to him, this isn't Marie's miracle. It's his experiment working exactly as planned. And that changes the meaning of the whole scene. What looks like an act of salvation is really an act of manipulation. Marie thinks she's saving her sister, but Cipher knows he's weaponizing her grief to unlock something terrifying. Which means the question isn't really about how powerful Marie is. We already know that. It's how far will Cipher go to keep proving that point. The puppet strings questions. There's also another shadow hanging over the resurrection. And that's about the question of control. Because from what we've seen so far on the surface, it looks like Marie's triumph. But what if it wasn't entirely hers? We already know Cipher has a history of turning people into puppets. Jordan described the experience as being shoved into the backseat of their own body while someone else drove. Andre was pushed past his limits until it basically killed him. And Cipher himself has shown moments that don't add up. Taking a knife to the hand and feeling nothing, as if the pain belonged to someone else. So if that's the case, then the resurrection might not have been Marie's power alone. It could have been Cipher pulling the strings, by using her as the vessel to do what he couldn't, which then makes the scene far darker than it first appears. Because if Cipher was inside her during that moment, the miracle doesn't prove Marie's freedom. It proves how completely he can hollow her out and make her body his own tool. And that possibility changes the meaning of salvation again. To Cipher, it isn't about Marie rising as something new. It's about showing that he can bend even the strongest into extensions of himself. So if Marie's greatest act so far was performed under his control, then the miracle belongs to him, not her. Which leaves the terrifying question: how much of Marie's future will actually be hers to claim? Sister Sage's endgame. Cipher isn't the only one who sees Marie as more than a student. Sister Sage spells it out, that Marie is the key to giving them everything they want. And that line lands heavy because Sage is not a character who speaks in exaggerations. When she points at Marie, she's naming her as the solution to problems she's been carrying for years. So then what does the quote-unquote everything mean in this context? There are some very clear possibilities. Sage has long wrestled with her own curse, being the smartest person in the world, yet unable to shut it off. We've already seen her fantasize about living a normal life, even lobotomizing herself just to escape her own thoughts. Imagine if Marie could rewrite DNA or erase abilities altogether. For Sage, Marie wouldn't just be powerful, she'd be the cure to her existence. And then there's the bigger picture. If Marie can heal, resurrect, and reshape the body at will, that isn't just fixing wounds. It's extending life. It's removing weakness and creating the possibility of immortality. So in a world where even the strongest supe eventually ages, where even Homelander finds gray hairs in the mirror, Marie represents a path to break the clock itself. That's why Annabeth's resurrection isn't just a family reunion. It's proof of concept for Sage's ambitions. Salvation here doesn't mean saving one person. It means rewriting the future for an entire order. And the chance to build a world where the select few aren't just powerful, but untouchable and eternal. And in Sage's hands, that kind of salvation stops looking like a blessing and starts looking like dominance in the form of destiny. Why Homelander should fear her. So then that brings us to the real question about why should this reawakening in Marie make Homelander fear her? And if you listen to Cipher, I kind of have to agree with him. Because as he says, when Homelander sees Marie's true power, he's going to have feelings. Now you can interpret that however way you want, but let's be honest, that's putting it lightly. When Cipher says Homelander will have feelings, that's his polite way of saying Homelander's ego won't survive it. Because the abilities Marie is unlocking aren't ones Homelander can match, or even fully understand. Also, think about it, Homelander rules through fear. He can definitely obliterate you in seconds, and he can dominate any battlefield, but all of it relies on the same blunt truth. Death is permanent, and it's inevitable. His enemies die, so does his rivals die, and anyone who stands against him dies. But Marie has just proven that rule isn't absolute anymore. She can heal wounds that should end lives. She can bend blood itself to her will, and now she can even pull someone back from death. Even if you're a die-hard Homelander fan, you can agree that Homelander's heat vision and brute strength can't touch that. So for the first time, someone else holds a kind of power that doesn't just challenge him physically, but spiritually. Homelander's power has always been about ending lives. Marie's power, on the other hand, is about rewriting them. And that's not just a fight he can't win. It's a world he can't control. That's why Cipher doesn't just see her as dangerous. He sees her as disruptive. Homelander thrives on being the only god in the room. But if Marie can resurrect the dead, and if she can undo the one limit even he can't break, then she's not just another supe on the board. She's competition for his throne. And we all know how he feels about being on top. Homelander doesn't just protect his throne, he obsesses over it. So the second he gets a whiff that someone's a threat to his spot, he doesn't hesitate. He will destroy them. And that's the real reason Cipher's word lands so sharply. When he calls Marie salvation, he isn't talking about hope or healing. He's talking about the emergence of someone Homelander has every reason to fear. Because once death itself stops being a weapon in his arsenal, Homelander stops being untouchable. And Marie becomes something far more dangerous than just another rival. She becomes the one person who could redefine what power means in their world. But let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.